Hey everybody, welcome back to my travel vlog. And today we are going to be talking about 10 budget tips that you could utilize when you are going to Rome for the very first time. So let's just get right into it because that's why you clicked. Tip number one when you are going to Rome for the very first time is that the airport, FCO, is pretty far away from the center of Rome. It's about an hour and a half depending on traffic, and the taxis charge you buku cash. So my recommendation is to catch the train or catch a bus. Tip number two is to stay in the city center. I know that sounds like it goes completely against budget traveling or budgeting your trip, but it makes sense simply because everything is in the center of Rome. Most of the attractions, the museums, and it would make so much more sense to stay in the center as opposed to staying in the outskirts and paying extra to commute from where you're staying on the outskirts to the center of Rome. Tip number three is to book your accommodations in advance. You've watched all of my budget tip videos and you know booking your accommodations early is key to getting really good prices on your hotel, your Airbnb, or your hostel. Tip number four is to visit the Spanish Steps, the Pantheon, and the Trevi Fountain super early in the morning. I'm talking about 7 a.m., 7:30. That is the best time to visit those attractions. Because if you go midday, if you go when the sun goes down, I promise you the whole of Rome is there. Everybody's there. Well, not the whole of Rome, but all of the tourists are at the Spanish Steps and all of the tourists are at the Trevi Fountain, and it's super, super crowded. I was able to take this photo because we woke up super early and we were like, listen, we are going to rush to these different sites and we're going to take photos. When we got to the Trevi Fountain, no one was there except for like this couple who were shooting wedding photos, and that was it. And that is almost unheard of. If you go there midday, if you go there after sunset, I promise you, you will find a mob of tourists trying to take photos, throwing coins into the fountain. I mean, it's a mess. So the best thing to do is go first thing in the morning. We're talking about sunrise here, folks. That's how early you have to go, but it is worth it. Tip number five is to make a list of all of the places that you want to visit. Rome is a beautiful city and it might seem small, but there are just so many attractions in Rome. There's so many statues, so many fountains, so many museums, so many churches. If you are going to be there for 3 days, if you're going to be there for 2 days, you won't really have the time to visit everything. So you want to make a prioritized list of the attractions that you want to see, and you want to go to those first. And if you have extra time, you can visit the ones that you didn't have on your list. Tip number six is to download any Rome tour app onto your phone. And this helps out because you can just plug your earphones into your phone and you can just walk around the different sites and the app will tell you where to go. It'll give you the information on the various sites, statues, places of note, etc., etc. And it helps you save money because you don't have to pay to go on a guided tour. It's free. It's an app on your phone. Tip number seven is not to sit down at any cafe when you are ordering coffee, when you are ordering a drink. Do not sit down. Don't do it because all of the restaurants charge an extra fee. Let's say, for example, you go into the little cafe restaurant that you saw the night before and you go in and you're like, you know what? I'm going to order my coffee and I'm going to take a seat at this table and I'm going to chillax. I'm going to people watch and enjoy my coffee. Note to self, you are going to be charged extra just for sitting down at that table. Coffee costs one thing and sitting down at the table costs another. So what you want to do is get your coffee and get on out of there. That is a sure way to avoid that extra table charge when you are going to the different bars, when you are going to the coffee shops. Don't sit down. Tip number seven. Tip number eight. Tip number eight is not to eat at the piazza. I am going to say that Again, do not eat at the piazza. There's a bunch of them around Rome. Don't sit at the square. If you really, really want to people watch, then you can do that. And you want to experience sitting at the piazza, having a pizza, drinking some wine in Rome, all power to you. But if you want to save some money, there are restaurants 2 blocks down. There are restaurants in the back of the piazza. But if you're sitting in the main square, especially with those little tables on the outside, you are going to pay some dollars for that convenience, for that view, for that luxury as it is. You are going to pay extra just for that. So that was tip number 8. Tip number 9, remember to bring cash. Cash is king in Italy, all over Italy. Even though Rome is such a big city, it's such a well-known city, there are some stores in Rome that only accept cash. So you don't want to be inconvenienced when you get to a little store where you're buying souvenirs or whatever have you, or a little cafe, and they tell you we only accept cash. So you want to make sure that you have cash on you at all times. So tip number 10 is that all state-owned museums, attractions, and galleries in Rome are free on the first Sunday of the month. Let's say that again, all state. This does not include the Vatican. This does not include regions outside of Rome. And with that being said, you want to make sure that everywhere that you plan to go is actually open on the days that you are visiting. Whether it's Rome, whether it's Milan, wherever you are, you want to make sure that when you are actually there, these attractions that you really want to see are open, because there are days when they are closed. So be mindful of that. So those are my top 10 budget tips when you are visiting Rome for the very first time. Here is a bonus tip. Make sure to wear comfortable shoes. That I cannot stress enough. The streets in Rome are very uneven and they're all cobblestone. And let me tell you, that will hurt your back, your feet, your ankle, your toes, even your fingers. Just make sure that you wear comfortable shoes. No heels, no boots with heels, nothing fancy. Comfort, comfort, comfort. No new shoes either. Oh, also, the other bonus tip that I want to give is that there are fountains all over Rome. So there's no need to buy water. You don't have to spend that extra 2 or 3 euros on water. So those are my top 10 budget tips when you are visiting Rome for the very first time. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this week's travel vlog. If you have any questions, make sure to leave it in the comment section below and I will try my best to answer it. If you are on YouTube, be sure to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. If you are on Facebook, share this video. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and I will see you all next week. Bye.